Introducing Mr. and Mrs. John Dickson.
I'll keep you safe in this house of mine, and I will never
And is acclimating to being a housewife.
I'll keep you safe.
Both feel awkward for their first night together.
I will never leave you, and I
First woo-woo for John and Anne. What a special moment for them both.
I will never leave you, and I'll save you from.
Anne is struggling with adjusting to her new role as a housewife. They had a cook when she lived with her parents, so this is all new to her. She has felt nauseous and fatigued for several weeks, but she still does the housework. She has taken a liking to gardening. It helps her cope with John being away at work so much. And is expecting their first child. Will it be their heir? She broke the news to her husband, and he is so excited about their growing family and to be a dad. And does all of the housework, but pregnancy is taking a toll on her body. Anne's parents came to visit her while John is at work. She broke the news of her pregnancy to them. They were so excited to become grandparents. John is reading often while Anne is practicing her painting. John is getting more excited as the days get closer to Anne giving birth. He hopes for a boy, but Anne hopes for a girl. And went into labor while she and John were sleeping. John was tired from his job as a carpenter, so he didn't bother waking up for the birth of his firstborn, and labored 4 hours alone. A girl? Elizabeth Dickson. Another girl. Twins. Adelaide Dickson. John is dealing with fatherhood by reading, while Jane does all of the child rearing. John was unhappy with having 2 girls. He wants Anne to give him an heir. Anne recognized the symptoms from her last pregnancy. She knew she was pregnant again when she started showing. The twins aged up to toddlers. The little ladies have grown up so quickly. Adelaide is an independent queen. Elizabeth is an angelic angel. The twins enjoy playing together. Anne is exhausted from this pregnancy. She desperately prays for a boy so she won't have to be pregnant again. She sleeps when she can, but John doesn't help much with the twins. He claims that it is solely the woman's job to care for the children. It is time for Anne to give birth to their next child. Another girl. Anne is exhausted and devastated. Anne was exhausted from birth and felt so guilty that she has yet to give John an heir. She loved her sweet daughter Jane, but knew that John was going to want to have more children until she produces an heir. John prayed to God that he would eventually get an heir and would be able to carry on his name. As father passed away, and the cousin is the only surviving child, John has become the heir to the Hester fortune. All moved into Hester estate. John is desperate to try again for his precious heir, and wants to please John but doesn't know if she can handle another pregnancy on top of the 3 littles they already have. Their relationship has been strained recently, but they shared a sweet moment by the fire. John decided to cook for him. He knows she's not very keen on having another baby, but he appreciates her effort. John is devastated by the passing of his mother and the absence of an heir. And is self-conscious of her body since having children. She tries to psych herself up. Potty training twins is so difficult. Dishes have been piling up. Living on the estate has been an adjustment. It's a much bigger area to keep tidy. And enjoys cooking usually, but the smell has been bothering her for weeks. John has aged up into an adult. And enjoys reading to her youngest. It distracts her from the tension with her husband. She tries to find herself again through her art. The littles can play together so she can have some much-needed time to herself. But even her art isn't distracting her from the tension with her husband. She tries so hard to gentle parent. Her dad was a yeller, and she didn't want that for her kids. John is stepping up with his parenting, while Anne has some much-needed time with her mother. And missed her mother so much. It was good to see her. She told her of the issues she was having with her husband. Her mother told her to be patient. Love always conquers in the end. John wanted to be a good father, even if he only had girls. He read his Bible to give him guidance. He hoped that his faith would give him a sign of what is the right thing to do. Even then, he still longed for an heir. The twins aged up into children. Elizabeth R. Gletton. Adelaide R. Mean Queen. Twins fit check. Elizabeth. Immediately following the twins' birthday, Anne's mother collapsed and passed away. Anne was absolutely devastated. She missed her mother so much. She felt that she had no one now. She had never felt so alone. Who is going to pass away from winter illness? Our patriarch. John. An unsuspecting John is doing some repairs to their home. Time to give him his fatal illness symptoms. John felt faint. He passed out while speaking to Jane. He attended Bible study. He prayed the entire time for whatever illness this was to not be serious. He couldn't shake his gut feeling that this was serious. John took this mysterious illness as a sign to patch things up with Even if he was unsure about the paternity, that baby would be his. He didn't care if it was a girl or his heir, as long as it was healthy. He felt weak and faint. He knew his time was limited. He begged Anne to forgive him for the way he's acted. Of course, Anne forgave him. She just wanted her husband back.
Looking at my messages, looking at my past.
John slept most of the time. Too weak to do anything. John knew his time was coming. He prayed to God to spare his life. He spent time with Elizabeth. He gave her so many hugs. That is what he wanted her to remember. Elizabeth dealt with her emotions by writing in her diary. John spent time with his youngest, Jane. He played with her even though he felt weak. He loved to hear her giggle. He decided to instill his faith in God with Adelaide. She was most receptive. He hoped she turned to God after he passed on. Adelaide read the Bible after her talk with John and went into labor. John was with her every step of the way. This was the first birth that John was present for. He felt closer to Anne while watching her bring their fourth child into the world. A boy. John finally got his John Dickson too, our new heir. And was elated that she finally gave John an heir. It was all she wanted. John soaked up every minute he could with his boy. He's John. He was devastated he wasn't going to be able to watch him grow up. He cried often, heartbroken that he was going to leave his family behind. He knew his time was close. John kissed his wife and told her he loved her. John went to lay down, breathing his last breath, and screamed. Her soulmate had finally succumbed to his illness. Jane was the first one to hear her mother scream. She didn't really understand the concept of death, but her father wasn't breathing. She wanted to hug him. The twins came to mourn their father as well. Rip John, our patriot, and clung to baby John. It was the last piece of her husband. It was hard for her though. He was a spitting image of his father. The twins started school shortly after their father's passing. Neither wanted to go but thought it would be good to have some normalcy during this difficult time, and hoped they would make friends. John needed extra love. She missed her dad and aged into an adult a year after John's passing. Birthdays were different without him. She started gardening again, not for enjoyment, but to make a little extra money for her family. She found it difficult to spend time with her children. They eat together, but that was all Anne could give. She tried to play with Jane on occasion, but her heart wasn't in it. She mostly focused on her garden. This was her contribution to her family. She would get through this, but for now, she mourned. Anne took care of her son, but when his needs were tended to, she laid in bed and cried. Slowly, she began to find normalcy again. The twins were having nightmares of their father's passing. She tried to rid their nightmares. John aged up into a toddler. Our angelic heir. John's toddler fit check. John felt the sad energy in the house and tried to read to John every night. She found it therapeutic. Spending time with John allowed her to feel her husband's presence. She taught Elizabeth how to cook. She would need to know for when she became a wife. Jane and John were getting along great. Jane loved her little brother. Her sisters never wanted to play with her, so she liked having a playmate and decided to give religion a try. It was such a staple in her husband's life. She attends church and felt alive again. She poured herself into her newfound faith. Without John, she had to fix the broken things in the house. She learned it quickly and quite liked it. It was liberating to do things herself. Elizabeth was the mother hen of the children. She loved to tidy up and went to visit her husband and mother's grave often. John and Jane were the best of friends. They loved to play together. And started to become the doting mother she always was again. Adelaide practiced piano often. She loved escaping into her music. John and Ghost John sometimes play dolls together. Ghost John loves to visit his heir. And read her Bible daily, her faith growing every single day. Her faith brought joy back into her life. She was finally inducted into the church. It was one of the best days of her life. She felt so close to John while at church. She didn't feel the need to wear widow's clothes anymore. She felt happy again and wanted to reflect that in her attire. She used some of the money she earned from selling her produce. She felt it was worth it. It was Jane's birthday, so Anne made a cake. Our genius Jane. Jane fit check. And is finding enjoyment out of gardening again. The fresh air and fresh produce brings her joy. Jane is our little reader of the family. She always has a book in her hand. She loves to read about love stories. Elizabeth is taking school very seriously. She hopes to go to college someday. Elizabeth noticed that a woman and her son moved into the house next to theirs. She saw striking red hair on the boy, so she snuck over and introduced herself. She only knew his name was Harry, but she vowed she would marry that boy someday. And has been taking walks to the dock regularly. She plays chess. She noticed a beautiful, timid cat. She gave her treats and showed her love. The cat warmed to her immediately. It was then that Anne decided to take the cat home with her. She thought an animal is just what she needed. The children would love an animal around the house. On one of her walks, Anne met a man. His name was Zachariah. They instantly had a spark. She hasn't felt that since John. He made her laugh and made her forget her sadness. Little John was warming to the cat. He wanted to be her friend. And made apple pie with a pep in her step. She hasn't been this happy in so long. She found her thoughts constantly returning to Zachariah. She didn't think there was anybody left on earth for her. She might be wrong. And spent a lot of time with Zachariah at the park. Any free moment she had, she spent with him. She was hopeful that they would be more than friends. However, Zachariah was respectful and kept her at a distance. When she was about to lose hope, Zachariah asked to court her. She immediately accepted. They snuggle on the park bench and hope this would be forever. Very soon after courting Anne, Zachariah proposed and graciously accepted. She was excited to start her life with Zachariah and was happy but reminisced of John by the fire. She knew she couldn't be happy without letting John go. She told him that she would always love him, but she had to move on. and Zachariah planned their wedding very soon after the proposal. Neither wanting to wait to be husband and wife. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Zachariah Thompson. As soon as they got home, Zachariah demanded sex. His whole demeanor changed. Immediately after he hit her for the first time, Anne was in shock. He yelled at her and told her to always obey him or there would be consequences. He kept up appearances around the children, repairing their broken dollhouse, and was heartbroken and clung to her faith. Adelaide hugged her mother, sensing her sadness. The twins aged into teenagers. Fixing my mess. Letton's Creative Elizabeth. Her aspiration is to have a soulmate. Adelaide's turn. Mean, creative Adelaide. Adelaide's aspiration is to be a best-selling author. Twins teenager fit check. Into a child. Our perfectionist heir. Elizabeth spent a lot of time with her neighbor, Harry. He taught her to play chess. She wasn't good at first, but she ended up beating him a few times. He asked her to be his. She was so happy. She introduced Harry to her mother and approved of him. visited Hester Estate with the supervision of Anne. Elizabeth wrote in her diary that she was officially in love with Harry. Adelaide met a boy named Donald at school. She thought he was so cute. She was going to get what she wanted, so she tried to woo him. It worked. Donald was smitten with Adelaide. Adelaide told her mom of her crush and warned her to be careful. Zachariah was only getting worse. He beat Anne daily, and now in front of her children. John decided enough was enough and confronted Zachariah. Zachariah retaliated by knocking the poor boy out unconscious. He beat Anne again and told her to control her children, and looked at herself in the mirror. She didn't recognize the woman standing there, and missed John with all of her being. She would give anything to have him here again. And had to do all of the housework because Zachariah does nothing. Her whole body ached, but she pushed forward. Elizabeth wrote in her journal that she desperately wanted to leave this environment. And consoled her children. She had to be strong for them. She felt like such a bad mother for bringing this man into their lives. She thanked John for sticking up for her, but told him not to do it again. She couldn't see him getting hurt again, and painted her pain away. She needed an escape away from her marriage. Harry promises himself to Elizabeth. He vows once they are of age, they will wed. Adelaide yelled at Zachariah. She told him to stop hurting her mom. Zachariah hit her and told her to never speak to him that way again, and was napping during this interaction. He stormed into the bedroom and woken up from her nap. He screamed at Anne and told her to control her children. He beat her within an inch of her life and told her next time he will K. Her, the children witnessed this and were terrified for their mother, and felt like a shell of herself. She had to get rid of Zachariah for the sake of her children. And took herbs from her garden. If mixed with others, it can be a lethal combination. She thought about what she was doing. She never even considered taking a life, but she had to protect her children. She cooked Zachariah his favorite meal. She added the poisonous mixture. Zachariah ate the meal with no complaints. He even complimented Anne on how delicious the meal tasted. And felt a pang of sick happiness. He said afterwards that he had a stomach ache and had hope for the first time in years. Jane aged up into a teenager. minus
your
8.
thing. Tonight they gonna know you deserve it all. The kind of guy who makes sure you're situated. Just take my hands and come with me.
Jane wants to be good at many things.
We gon' get away for a minute. We can take a trip in a minute. Let's get
Jane's
some space
teenager,
out of
fit
my
check.
day. Get it to your taste for a minute. We lighting the candles, we celebrate the life that you're living. Girl, at 12 a.m. celebrate, girl, you're living. Blow out the cake, 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 cake. Blow out the cake, 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 cake. Blow out the candles, wish more, baby. Blow out the cake, 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 cake. We make
Adelaide got bored of the piano and decided to teach herself to play guitar. Jane was a good student except for mathematics. She needed extra help. She got help from a teacher at her school. His name is Reginald, but he lets her call him Ray. Jane had the biggest crush on him. She told her mom of her crush and gushed over how cute he was. Her mother forbade her from pursuing this relationship. Jane learned how to play violin to try to win over Ray. She wasn't very good. It had been weeks since he poisoned Zachariah's food. She injected an apple with poison, hoping this time it would work. He ate it without hesitation. After he finished, and told him what she had done and walked away. At first, Zachariah didn't believe her. He laughed it off. Then he started to feel a tightness in his chest, and his throat began to run about the house in absolute panic. He knew he was going to die. Gathered the children and let them know that they would not have to deal with their stepdad anymore. She said he moved away. Elizabeth told her twin that she disapproved of Donald. She heard bad rumors about him at school and played dolls with John. John told her that he knew she got rid of him, but he was happy. And met Donald while he and Adelaide were in a fight. They fought a lot and did not approve of him, but said nothing to her daughter. Adelaide wanted things to work, but Donald made it so hard sometimes. She kept coming back because he kept forgiving her for all of her mistakes. She wanted to quit school and get married to Donald right away. Donald said that was a stupid idea and told her to never suggest such a thing again. Elizabeth mocked her twin at how stupid her idea was. The twins aged up into young adults. Elizabeth adds John's lover to her traits. Adelaide adds genius to her traits. Adelaide with Donald the day after she turned 18. Her family disapproved of the marriage, especially her twin. Donald was reluctant, but with promises of an exciting wedding night, he agreed to marry her. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Donald Robertson. Adelaide was so happy, but also couldn't shake the feeling that she made a huge mistake. Now that Elizabeth was of age, she couldn't wait to marry Harry. She was just waiting for him to pop the question. After a few weeks, Harry finally mustered up the courage to ask for Elizabeth's hand. She accepted without hesitation. After over 10 years, Elizabeth finally gets her wish and planned the wedding down to the last detail. She was so excited for her daughter to marry her soulmate. The wedding took place a few weeks after the proposal. Introducing Mr. and Mrs. Harry Carver. Neither could wait for their wedding night. They consummated the marriage the moment they arrived home. While at his sister's wedding, John came upon the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. Her name is Catherine. He felt he made a fool of himself the whole time he spoke to her. Our heir is finally aging up into a teenager. Who will our heir be? John is a perfectionistic goofball. His aspiration is to have successful lineage.